This is Mr. Eugene, and today we're discussing the conversation that society tells fathers they're not allowed to have with their sons. The conversation that gets called toxic, misogynistic, outdated, dangerous. The conversation that school counselors warn against, that modern culture condemns, that will get fathers criticized by women who insist they're poisoning young men's minds against relationships. But this is the conversation that could save your son or your grandson years of pain, thousands of dollars in losses, his mental health, his assets, his dignity, and possibly his entire future. This is the conversation about women, relationships, and reality that every father owes the next generation of men in his family, whether society approves or not. I'm not speaking to young men directly today. I'm speaking to fathers, to grandfathers, to uncles and mentors and older brothers, to any man who has younger males in his life who are heading into the dating market completely unprepared for what they're about to face. And I'm telling you, if you don't have this conversation with them, you're failing them. You're sending them into battle without weapons, without armor, without even basic understanding of the enemy's tactics. And before we get into this, let me tell you why this matters to me personally and why I'm willing to take the heat for saying what needs to be said. Because I've watched too many young men, sons of friends, nephews, younger colleagues, men in their 20s who had their whole lives ahead of them, get absolutely destroyed by relationship dynamics nobody warned them about. I've watched them marry women who seemed perfect during courtship only to transform into nightmare partners after the wedding. I've watched them lose houses they paid for, children they fathered, decades of earning potential to women who initiated divorces after extracting maximum resources. I've watched them get trapped in relationships with manipulative women because nobody taught them how to recognize manipulation before it destroyed them. And every single time I've asked, where was his father? Where was the man who should have pulled him aside years earlier and explained how this works? Why did nobody prepare him for the reality of modern women and modern relationship dynamics? And the answer is always the same. His father either didn't know these things himself, or he was too afraid of being called bitter or toxic to tell his son the truth. And that son paid the price with years of his life. So I'm having this conversation publicly despite the backlash it will generate, despite women being furious that fathers are being encouraged to warn sons about female nature and relationship traps, despite being called every name in the book for daring to suggest that young men need protection from dynamics designed to exploit them. Because the next generation of men, your sons, your grandsons, they deserve better than to walk blindly into the same traps that destroyed previous generations. They deserve fathers who care more about their sons' futures than about social approval from people who don't give a damn about young men's well-being. Stay with me. Today we're examining the truths about women and relationships that fathers must teach the young men in their lives before it's too late to protect them. Why this conversation is your responsibility. Let me start by addressing why this falls on you as a father or father figure. Because society has completely abdicated responsibility for preparing young men for relationship realities. Schools won't teach this. They're teaching the exact opposite, that women are victims and men are privileged oppressors. Media won't teach this. They're portraying relationships as 50-50 partnerships where if you just communicate well enough, everything works out. Women certainly won't teach this. They benefit from young men being naive and exploitable. So who's left to tell young men the truth? You, that's it. You're the only source of honest information about female nature, relationship dynamics, and the traps that will destroy them if they don't see them coming. And if you stay silent, if you're too uncomfortable or too afraid or too uninformed to have this conversation, your son will learn these lessons the hard way, through devastating first-hand experience, after it's too late to protect himself, after he's already made irreversible decisions. I know this conversation is uncomfortable. I know you don't want to sound bitter or jaded. I know you worry about damaging his view of women or making him cynical. But you know what's actually damaging? Sending him into modern dating and relationship dynamics with no framework to protect himself. Letting him believe Disney fairy tale narratives that will make him easy target for manipulative women. Staying silent while he makes decisions that will cost him decades of his life. Your discomfort is irrelevant compared to his future. Have the conversation anyway. Truth first, women are attracted to different qualities than what they claim the first truth young men need to understand, and that fathers must teach them explicitly, is this: women are attracted to completely different qualities than what they say they want. This disconnect between stated preferences and actual attraction is one of the most damaging lies young men are told, and it destroys their dating success if nobody corrects it. Women will tell your son they want nice guys. They want men who are kind, respectful, emotionally available, good communicators, supportive partners who listen and understand them. They want men who treat them well, who value their opinions, who are sensitive to their feelings. And your son, if he's a good kid with decent values, will think, great, I'll be all those things. I'll be the nice, respectful, emotionally available guy who treats women well. And he'll get friend-zoned, consistently. Women will appreciate him, will value his friendship, will come to him for emotional support when the men they're actually attracted to treat them poorly. But they won't date him. They won't desire him sexually. They'll tell him he's such a good guy while pursuing men who are the opposite of everything they claim to want. This will confuse and hurt him unless you explain the pattern before he experiences it. Here's what you need to tell him. Attraction and appreciation are completely different things. Women are attracted to confidence, strength, dominance, status, challenge, unpredictability. These qualities trigger biological attraction responses. They create the spark, the excitement, the sexual desire women feel for men. Women appreciate kindness, reliability, emotional support, good communication. These qualities make men good providers and stable partners. But they don't create attraction. They create gratitude and comfort, not desire. The problem is that women genuinely believe they want nice guys because they appreciate nice treatment. But appreciation doesn't generate sexual attraction, so they pursue men who trigger attraction responses. Often men who are confident to the point of arrogance, dominant to the point of controlling, exciting to the point of chaotic, and they get treated poorly by these men. And then they complain to the nice guys about it while continuing to pursue the same types. Your son needs to understand this pattern before he wastes years being the nice guy women appreciate but don't desire. He needs to understand that if he leads with kindness and emotional availability, he'll be valued as friend, not pursued as sexual option. He needs to learn to establish attraction first through confidence, standards, outcome independence, maintaining challenge. Then, once attraction exists, his kindness and emotional intelligence become assets instead of liabilities. Make this crystal clear to him. Being a good man and being an attractive man are not the same thing. He can be both. But he must establish attraction before demonstrating his good qualities, or those good qualities will be wasted on women who appreciate them without desiring him. Truth second, women will test him constantly, and he must learn to pass the second critical truth fathers must teach. Women test men constantly. Not necessarily consciously or maliciously, but the tests are real and consistent. And how your son responds to these tests determines whether women respect him, stay attracted to him, or lose interest entirely. Most young men have no idea these tests are happening. They respond naturally, usually by trying to please women, or accommodate their moods, or explain themselves. And they fail test after test without realizing these failures are destroying attraction. By the time they recognize the pattern, they've already established themselves as low value in her eyes, and recovery is nearly impossible. You need to teach your son what these tests look like and how to pass them. Here are the most common disrespect tests. She'll say something mildly disrespectful. Roll her eyes at something he says. Make a joke at his expense in front of others. Question his decision or capability. She's testing. Will he tolerate disrespect? Does he have boundaries? Will he stand up for himself? Most young men fail by ignoring it, laughing it off, or trying to appease her. Correct response, call it out immediately. I don't talk to you that way, and I expect the same respect. Set the boundary clearly. Be willing to walk away if it continues. Women respect men who enforce boundaries. They lose respect for men who accept disrespect. Compliance tests. She'll ask him to do something unreasonable or last minute. Expect him to cancel his plans for hers. Want him to prove commitment by sacrificing something important. She's testing how much control does she have. Will he prioritize her over everything? Is he desperate for her approval? Most young men fail by immediately complying, by canceling plans to accommodate her, by sacrificing priorities to prove she matters. Correct response, maintain his priorities. I have plans, we can do that another time. Show that he has life beyond her. Demonstrate that he's not controlled by her whims or approval. Jealousy tests, she'll mention another man. Talk about how someone complimented her. Bring up an ex. Flirt with others in his presence. She's testing. Is he secure or insecure? Will he get jealous and reactive? Does he trust his own value? Most young men fail by getting visibly jealous, by trying to compete with the other man, by seeking reassurance, by getting upset. Correct response, complete unbothered calm. That's great. Zero jealousy or insecurity. Demonstrate that he's not threatened because he knows his value, the pattern across all tests. Women are testing whether your son is high value or low value. High-value men have boundaries, have options, don't need any specific woman's approval, maintain frame under pressure. Low-value men are desperate, compliant, easily controlled through approval withdrawal, have no boundaries. If your son consistently fails these tests, women will lose attraction and respect. They cannot maintain desire for men they don't respect, and they don't respect men who fail their tests. Make sure he understands these tests are not manipulation, they're biological evaluation mechanisms. Women need to know he's strong enough to handle them, to lead, to maintain frame. The tests reveal whether he is. He needs to pass them. Truth third, he should never make any woman his primary purpose. This is one of the most critical lessons fathers must impart. Your son should never make any woman his primary purpose in life. Not his girlfriend, not even his wife. She cannot be his mission, his main focus, the center of his universe. The moment she becomes his primary purpose, he's lost the relationship. Young men naturally want to make their romantic partners central to their lives. They think this demonstrates love and commitment. They believe focusing all energy on making her happy is what good boyfriends and husbands do. And women initially encourage this. They enjoy being prioritized and having his full attention. But here's what you need to explain to your son. Women are attracted to men with purpose beyond them. They want men who are building something, creating something, pursuing goals that matter. They want to be part of a man's journey, not the entire journey. When he makes her his whole world, several things happen, all bad. He becomes needy. His happiness depends on her. His identity revolves around being her boyfriend. He needs her validation and approval to feel good about himself. This neediness is profoundly unattractive. He becomes boring. He has nothing interesting happening outside the relationship. No goals he's pursuing, no growth occurring, no interesting experiences to share. He's stagnant. And stagnation kills attraction. He signals low value. By making her his entire world, he communicates that he has nothing else going on, no other options, no life beyond her. This signals that he's low value. If he were high value, he'd have other important things in his life competing for his attention. All of these attraction killers. And they're completely avoidable if he maintains purpose beyond the relationship. Tell your son your primary purpose should be your mission, your career, your business, your development, your goals, building wealth, building competence, creating value, making impact. She should be secondary to that purpose. She fits into the life you're building. She supports your mission, but she's not the mission itself. This isn't about neglecting relationships or treating women as unimportant. It's about maintaining healthy priority structure where his growth and purpose remain central. Paradoxically, women respect and are more attracted to men who maintain this priority structure. They want to join missions that are already in motion. They want to support men who are going somewhere. They don't want to be the destination. They want to be along for the journey to a destination that matters. Make this clear. If a woman demands he choose between his purpose and her, he should choose his purpose every time. Because if she can't support his purpose, she's wrong woman for his life. And sacrificing purpose for woman creates resentment that destroys the relationship anyway. Your son's identity, purpose, and mission must remain intact throughout any relationship. That's non-negotiable for long-term success and sustained attraction. Truth forth, he must protect his resources ruthlessly. Fathers need to have explicit conversations with sons about protecting resources, because this is where young men destroy themselves financially. They give freely, provide generously, and end up being used by women who don't value them but recognize easy marks. Your son needs to understand his resources, his time, money, energy, attention are valuable. They should be invested strategically in women who reciprocate and demonstrate actual value. They should never be given freely to women who take without giving back. Here are the specific financial boundaries you need to teach. Never provide financial support before marriage, and be extremely cautious even then. He should not pay her rent, not pay her bills, not buy her car, not fund her lifestyle, not become her financial provider before legal commitment and structure that protects him. Once he starts financial support, pattern is established. She becomes accustomed to his provision. If the relationship ends, he's given resources he'll never recover to someone who didn't value him enough to stay. Prenuptial agreements are non-negotiable if he has assets. If your son marries, especially if he's built wealth or expects to, he must have prenuptial agreement. This protects what he built before marriage and structures what happens if marriage ends. If she refuses prenup, she's revealing something critical. She wants access to his resources without reciprocal commitment. She wants option to leave with his assets. That's not someone he should marry. Good women who genuinely love him will sign prenups because they're not with him for money. Watch how she treats her money versus his money. Does she spend her money freely on herself but expect him to pay shared expenses? Does she have expensive tastes she expects him to fund while keeping her income for herself? These patterns reveal she views his resources as hers to access, but her resources as hers to keep. That's exploitation. Address immediately or walk away. Her financial irresponsibility should never become his problem. If she's bad with money, overspends, carries debt, makes poor decisions, he should not rescue her, not pay off her credit cards, not bail her out. Why? Because he'd be teaching her that irresponsibility has no consequences. He'd be establishing pattern where he's financially responsible for problems she creates. Let her experience consequences. Support emotionally if appropriate, but don't absorb financial consequences. The principle you need to communicate: his resources took time, effort, sacrifice to accumulate. Protect them. Give strategically to women who reciprocate. Don't give freely to women who take without giving back. Money can be recovered, but years spent building wealth that gets transferred to a woman who leaves, those years are gone forever. Your son needs to hear this explicitly from you before he makes financial decisions in relationships that he can't undo. Truth fifth, what women want changes dramatically with age. This is a pattern young men need to understand before they waste time on women at the wrong life stage or get manipulated by women whose sudden interest has nothing to do with actually valuing them. Explain to your son what women want changes completely based on age and life circumstances. and this creates predictable patterns he needs to recognize. Ages 18 to 25, the excitement phase. Women in this range are attracted to excitement, status, physical appearance, social validation. They want fun, unpredictable, socially connected, high-status men. They're not prioritizing stability or long-term potential. They're experiencing life, exploring options, seeking validation through attention from high-value men. If your son is a stable, reliable guy in his early 20s, he's probably not what these women seek right now. They're dating exciting guys, bad boys, socially dominant men. You might get friend-zoned as nice guy who's not attractive to them yet. Ages 25 to 30, the transition phase, priorities start shifting. The excitement phase delivered fun, but didn't deliver commitment from high-value men. Biological clock's starting to tick. Social pressure to settle increases. Some women start thinking they need to shift strategy towards stable men for long-term, but they're not fully committed to this shift, testing whether they can still attract exciting men while keeping stable men as options. If your son starts getting interest from women who friend-zoned him years ago, he needs to be cautious. Is she actually attracted or settling because better options didn't commit? Ages 30 to 35, the urgency phase, biological clock screaming, fertility declining, social pressure intense, panic about running out of time. Women in this phase are often desperate for commitment from stable men. They'll move fast, relationship to marriage quickly because timeline is urgent. Your son needs to understand her urgency is her problem, not his emergency. If she's pressuring marriage after short courtship, she's not choosing him specifically. She's choosing any acceptable man who can provide stable life and children before fertility window closes. Ages 35 plus, acceptance or bitterness. Women over 35 without families fall into categories. Some have genuine acceptance, process missing family opportunity, not bitter, focused on building good life. These can be decent partners if your son doesn't want family. Others are desperate or bitter, angry they missed opportunity, resentful toward men, desperately trying for children despite declining fertility, or given up and bitter. Avoid these completely. The critical pattern: many women want stable, reliable men only after giving their best years, peak attractiveness, sexual enthusiasm, youthful energy, to men who didn't commit. They want your son to commit to what's left after being diminished by poor choices. Tell your son he deserves to be first choice, not backup plan. He deserves a woman who chose him when she had better options, not when he became best option she could still attract. Don't accept settlement offers from women who wouldn't have chosen him when they were younger and more valuable. If he wants family, he should consider women in early to mid-20s who have time, who aren't desperate, who can build relationship naturally without urgency-driven pressure. Truth sixth, red flags require immediate action, not rationalization. Fathers need to teach sons to recognize relationship red flags and, this is critical, to act on them immediately without rationalization or hoping things will change. Most young men see red flags and excuse them, minimize them, believe they can fix them. They can't. Red flags predict disaster. Walking away early is always easier than extracting yourself later. Here are the absolute deal breakers you need to teach your son to recognize: chronic disrespect. If she's consistently dismissive, mocking, treating him like he's stupid or incompetent, walk immediately. Disrespect doesn't improve, it escalates. One instance, address it, set boundary. Pattern of disrespect, end it. High body count, promiscuous past. If she's had many sexual partners, frequent casual relationships, one-night stands, do not commit long-term. Absolutely do not marry. Statistics overwhelmingly show more sexual partners before marriage equal to higher divorce likelihood, lower marital satisfaction, higher cheating risk. This isn't moral judgment. It's statistical reality. Women with many partners have difficulty pair bonding. Her past predicts future behavior. Believe the data. No relationship with father. If she has terrible relationship with father, absent, hates him, describes with contempt, understand unresolved father wounds will be projected onto your son. She never learned to value masculine qualities. She'll punish him for what her father did or didn't do. He cannot fix this. Unless she's actively worked through father issues with professional help and has healthy perspective, avoid. Mental health issues, serious issues, severe anxiety, depression, personality disorders, past suicide attempts, self-harm history. Your son is not her therapist, not her savior. Cannot fix her. Her mental health problems will become his problem. Managing crises, walking on eggshells, sacrificing his stability for her instability. Unless she's actively addressing these professionally with demonstrated sustained stability, don't commit. Constant drama. If her life is perpetual drama, conflicts with friends, family, coworkers, constant crises, always emergencies, she's the common denominator creating it. Drama follows dramatic people. If you commit, her chaos becomes your chaos. Peaceful women have peaceful lives, financial irresponsibility, terrible with money, significant debt from overspending, impulsive purchases, no savings despite decent income, expects others to fund lifestyle. Financial incompatibility destroys marriages. Her poor money management becomes his problem. Unwillingness to take accountability. Never admits fault, never apologizes genuinely, always blames others, always positions herself as victim. This reveals character flaw, making healthy relationship impossible. Relationships require both parties acknowledging mistakes. If she can't take accountability, every problem will be his fault, every conflict his responsibility to fix. Make this absolutely clear to your son. Physical attraction doesn't compensate for character flaws that will destroy him. When he sees these red flags, walk away immediately. No exceptions. His future self will thank him. Truth seventh, modern marriage is a trap. He must understand the contract. This might be the most important conversation you have with your son before he makes the biggest decision of his life. You need to explain in brutal detail what modern marriage actually is. Not the Disney version, not the romantic ideal, but the legal and practical reality. Marriage has changed fundamentally. What it used to be, partnership with defined roles. Man provided resources and protection. Woman provided domestic labor, sexual exclusivity, children support. Both had obligations. Both received benefits. Contract was relatively balanced. What marriage is now, all traditional male obligations remain, while most traditional female obligations are eliminated. He's expected to provide financially at least equal to her, often more. Expected to split domestic labor 50-50 regardless of income contribution. Expected to provide emotional labor constantly. He maintains all traditional male responsibilities while receiving none of traditional male authority or benefits. Meanwhile, she maintains freedom to end marriage any time for any reason, taking half or more assets, receiving alimony potentially for years, gaining primary custody of children while he loses access but still funds them. The statistics your son must know: 50% of marriages end in divorce. Coin flip whether his marriage succeeds. 70 to 80% of divorces initiated by women. She'll likely end it, not him. In divorce, he'll typically lose 50% plus of assets, alimony for years potentially, primary custody of children, his home, ongoing child support with minimal custody, his peace and stability. What he's actually agreeing to: contract where he commits all resources to shared enterprise, loses autonomy over money, time, decisions, accepts ongoing performance requirements to maintain her satisfaction, risks losing everything if she decides to end it, has minimal legal protection, will likely lose children in separation, and she can end contract anytime for any reason, keeps half or more resources regardless of contribution, receives ongoing financial support after ending contract, retains primary access to children, faces minimal consequences for ending contract, has legal system biased in her favor. When marriage might make sense for your son, she's demonstrated loyalty over many years, not months. She's signing prenup protecting his assets. She comes from stable family with low divorce rates. She's never been promiscuous, low partner count. She's consistently demonstrated she values him specifically, not just what he provides. She's shown accountability and handles conflict maturely. He's seen her under stress and she remains stable. He actually wants children, and she's young enough. Fertility is an urgent factor. When marriage definitely doesn't make sense, he doesn't want children, eliminates primary reason. She's over 35. Fertility urgency creates desperation, short courtship, needs years to see patterns. She refuses prenup, values access to resources. She has any of the red flags. Mentioned earlier, he's successful, wealthy, more to lose. She initiated marriage discussion. Her timeline, not genuine desire. Tell your son, be extremely cautious about marriage. Understand fully what you're agreeing to. Protect yourself legally if you marry. Don't let any woman pressure you into commitment before you're ready or with terms that don't protect you. Your freedom and resources are valuable. Don't surrender them lightly. Many men are choosing long-term relationships without marriage, commitment, companionship, partnership, but protecting assets, maintaining legal autonomy, preserving ability to exit without losing everything. She won't like this. She'll pressure marriage. But understand, marriage benefits her far more than it benefits him. Her pressure is about securing her interests, not proving his love. Truth eighth, abundance mindset protects him from manipulation. You need to teach your son to never operate from scarcity with women. Scarcity mindset destroys attraction and makes him vulnerable to manipulation and exploitation. Scarcity looks like believing this woman is his only option, tolerating poor treatment because afraid to lose her, making major compromises to keep her, being overly available, seeking her approval constantly, fearing that losing her means he won't find anyone else, viewing her as rare, special, irreplaceable. Why scarcity is deadly, women sense it. When he operates from scarcity, he communicates, I don't have options, I need you specifically, I'm afraid to lose you, I'll tolerate poor treatment to keep you. This is profoundly unattractive. It positions him as low-value man desperate for this specific woman, and women cannot maintain attraction to desperate low-value men. Scarcity also makes him vulnerable. Women who recognize his scarcity will exploit it, demand more, give less, treat him worse, knowing he'll accept it rather than risk losing them. Abundance looks like believing he has options even if he currently doesn't, being willing to walk away from poor treatment, maintaining standards and boundaries, not being overly available, not seeking approval, recognizing she's great but not the only great woman who exists. Understanding he'll be fine whether this specific woman is in his life or not. Why abundance is powerful: it communicates, I have options, I don't need you specifically, I'm with you by choice, not desperation, I'll leave if treatment doesn't meet standards. This is highly attractive. Women are attracted to men who have options and are choosing them among those options. Abundance also protects him. When willing to walk away, women treat him better because they recognize they can't manipulate him with threats. How to develop abundance? Actually have options. Don't commit to one woman too quickly. Date multiple women until one proves worthy of exclusivity. Build himself. Focus on mission, career, development. When building something meaningful, women become less central. Maintain social life. Keep friendships, hobbies, activities that don't involve her. Be willing to walk away. This is critical. If not willing to lose her, he doesn't have abundance. Remember, women are abundant. Billions in the world, thousands in his city, many compatible. This specific woman might be great, but she's not irreplaceable. The paradox: when he needs her least, she wants him most. When outcome independent and genuinely okay with or without her, he becomes most attractive. When desperate to keep her, he becomes least attractive. Teach your son, develop this mindset early. It will protect him from manipulation, increase attraction he generates, ensure he only commits to women who deserve his commitment. Abundance isn't arrogance or treating women poorly. It's operating from strength, recognizing his value, having standards, being willing to walk away from situations that don't serve him. Truth ninth, he must never lose himself in any relationship. If your son remembers nothing else, make sure he remembers this. Never lose yourself in a relationship with a woman. This mistake destroys more good men than any other. Young men enter relationships with strong identities, clear values, defined purposes, active social lives, hobbies they love. Then slowly, over months and years, they sacrifice all of it to serve the relationship. They stop pursuing hobbies because she doesn't share interest or wants their time. They drift from friends because she doesn't like them or prefers they spend time with her. They abandon goals because they conflict with her preferences. They stop voicing opinions because disagreement creates conflict. They change values to align with hers. They make relationship their entire life with no identity outside it. Why men do this? They believe it's what relationships require. They think sacrifice shows love. They fear maintaining independence means not being fully committed. Women encourage it initially. She likes being prioritized, having all his time, being central to his life. But here's the devastating truth. The moment he loses himself, she loses attraction. Women are not attracted to men whose entire world revolves around them. They're attracted to men who have purposes beyond them, lives that would continue and thrive without them, identities existing independently. When he makes her his entire life, he becomes needy, needs her for happiness, identity. Boring, nothing interesting happening outside relationship. Low value, no life beyond her signals, no options. All attraction killers. How to maintain himself: keep mission primary. Purpose, career, goals remain focus. She fits into life he's building, not the life itself. Maintain friendships. Keep seeing friends regularly. Have social life outside relationship. Keep hobbies. Continue pursuing activities he loves even if she doesn't participate. Maintain standards. Don't compromise values or beliefs to avoid conflict. Keep independence. Make decisions independently. Inform her of plans but not requiring approval. Maintain boundaries. When she pushes against independence, wants more time, more attention, more sacrifice, hold boundaries. The paradox again: the more he maintains himself, the more attracted she remains. The more he has going on, the more she wants to be part of his life. The less he needs her, the more she wants to be needed. Conversely, the more he sacrifices himself, the less attracted she becomes. The more his world shrinks to just her, the more she loses respect. The more he needs her, the less she wants to be with him. Make this crystal clear: his identity, purpose, independence. These aren't obstacles to good relationship, they're requirements for it. Never lose yourself trying to keep a woman. The moment you do, you've lost her anyway and lost yourself in the process. Maintain who you are. Build yourself continuously. Let women fit into life you're creating. Never let them become the entire life. Your responsibility as a father. Let me bring this back to what this means for you as a father or father figure. You have a responsibility to the young men in your life, sons, grandsons, nephews, younger men you mentor. That responsibility is to prepare them for reality, not for the fantasy version of relationships that society sells them. Society is lying to your son. Schools are teaching him that men and women are exactly the same, that gender differences are social constructs, that women are victims of male oppression. Media is teaching him that relationships are 50-50 as partnerships where if he just communicates his feelings well enough, everything works out. Modern culture is teaching him that any acknowledgement of female nature or relationship dynamics favoring women is misogyny. All lies. Lies that will make him vulnerable. Lies that will make him easy to manipulate and exploit. Lies that will cost him years of his life if you don't correct them. You're the only one who can tell him the truth. You're the only one who will warn him about patterns that will harm him. You're the only one who cares more about his well-being than about social approval or avoiding discomfort. So have the conversation. Use this framework or create your own based on your experience. But have it, soon, before he makes decisions he can't undo, before he commits to women who don't deserve commitment, before he enters marriage without understanding what he's agreeing to, before he loses himself trying to keep women who don't value him. The conversation will be uncomfortable. He might resist initially. He's been fed different narratives his whole life. He might think you're being negative about women or trying to make him cynical. Stand firm. Explain, this isn't about hating women. This is about protecting you, about giving you tools to navigate dynamics stacked against you, about preparing you for reality so you can make informed decisions. And remind him, you can be a good man who treats women well while still protecting yourself from women who would harm you. You can respect women while understanding female nature and relationship dynamics. You can build healthy relationships while maintaining boundaries that protect you. These things aren't contradictory. They're all necessary for successful navigation of modern dating and relationships. The stakes are too high to stay silent. Your son's future, his happiness, his resources, his mental health, his freedom, all of it can be destroyed by relationship dynamics he doesn't understand. You have the knowledge and experience to protect him. You have the responsibility to pass it on. Don't fail him by staying silent because you're worried about being called bitter or toxic. His future matters more than anyone's comfort with these truths. Final thoughts. This is the father-to-son talk about women that society tried to ban. The conversation every young man needs but most never get because fathers are too afraid or too uninformed to have it. I've given you the framework, the truths that need to be communicated, the patterns that need to be explained, the warnings that need to be issued. Now it's on you to adapt this to your situation, add your own experiences and lessons, and have the conversation with the young men in your life who need it. Don't wait. Don't assume he'll figure it out on his own. Don't hope that somehow he'll avoid the traps that caught previous generations. Don't stay silent because it's uncomfortable. Have the conversation now, before it's too late. And to the men watching this who never got this conversation from their fathers, men who learned these lessons the hard way through devastating first-hand experience, use what you've learned. Protect the next generation. Be the father figure to young men in your life that you wish you'd had. Break the cycle of silence that's destroyed too many good men. The father-to-son talk about women is essential. Society tried to ban it because informed, protected young men are harder to exploit. We're having it anyway, because the next generation of men deserves better than to be sacrificed on the altar of social approval and political correctness. Drop a comment about your experience. Fathers, have you had this conversation with your son? What would you add? Men who never got this talk, what did you learn the hard way that you wish someone had told you? Subscribe, because this channel will never stop having conversations that need to happen, even when society says they shouldn't. We'll never prioritize social approval over truth. We'll never leave young men unprotected to avoid offending people who don't care about their well-being. Protect your sons, protect your grandsons, teach them reality. Give them the tools to navigate these dynamics successfully. It's not toxic, it's protective. And it's your responsibility. The conversation society tried to ban is the conversation that could save the next generation. Have it,